This session felt heavy from the start. Not because the Porsche was getting slower. Because now I knew exactly how fast it could be. And somehow that made every mistake hurt more. One car, one truck. Day 19. The Nordschleife was starting to leave marks. My name is Lucas, and this is Driving Down the Depression. Welcome. The beginning of this session was messy. The Porsche still felt nervous everywhere. The rear moved constantly under braking. The car rotated aggressively on entry. And every time I started building confidence, something went wrong. And honestly, that made the crashes even more frustrating. But the strange thing was, even during the bad laps, I could still feel flashes of speed. Little moments where the Porsche suddenly felt incredible again. And then I hit the barrier. Instant frustration. That horrible feeling where your brain immediately tells you that was probably the lap. And honestly, for a second, I wanted to quit the session completely. But the car was still moving. Damaged. Unstable. Pulling slightly, but still alive. And instead of restarting, I kept going. Normally, I would have reset immediately. But this time, I wanted to see how far the damage could go. And somehow, despite the crash, Despite the ruined lap, despite everything feeling completely messy, the Porsche still delivered an 834. Invalid, broken, but fast. And after the lap, I started noticing something. Every crash leaves marks on the Nordschleife. Black tire scars across the asphalt. They stay there for a while before slowly disappearing. The more I crashed, the more I noticed them. Some were fresh, some were already fading away, some stayed much longer than others. And honestly, after a while they stopped looking like tire marks. They started feeling like proof. Proof that somebody lost control here, pushed too hard there, made a mistake there. And maybe that's why this truck feels so human sometimes. Because eventually the scars disappear. But for a while, they tell a story. At some point, I stopped racing the Nordschleife. I started racing the Ghost. I kept looking at the Delta, trying to gain time back instantly. Trying to attack every sector. And slowly I stopped listening to the car completely. The Ghost was supposed to help me improve. But instead, it started driving the lap for me. And once the pressure starts building on this truck, it spreads everywhere. Your steering gets sharper. Your braking gets more aggressive. You stop flowing through corners and start forcing the car through them. And the Porsche notices it immediately. Every impatient input felt dangerous. Every correction felt bigger than it should have. So after all the frustration, I changed my mindset completely. I stopped chasing the lap, stopped chasing the Ghost, stopped trying to win every sector. And instead, I started driving corner by corner again, breathing again, listening to the car again. And weirdly, that's when the Porsche finally started cooperating. The strange thing about the Porsche is that the harder you force it, the worse it becomes. But the moment you calm down, it suddenly starts flowing. And somewhere during those laps, the fear slowly stopped turning into panic. It started turning into focus. And for the first time since switching off stability control, I finally felt connected to the car again. No illusion, no fake confidence, just a real lap. And honestly, that lap felt better than old sub-8s. Because this one felt earned. Every correction, every moment of hesitation, every scary braking zone, I felt all of it. And for the first time since switching to the Porsche, I finally felt like I was actually driving the car, not surviving it, not holding behind assists, actually driving it. Then come this lap. And finally then, 809, broken, but fast. Not perfect, not clean, but finally something started clicking again. The sectors looked good. The rhythm felt better. And for the first time during this session, the Porsche stopped fighting me quite so much. The Porsche still feels dangerous, still unpredictable, still capable of humiliating me at any moment. But maybe that's the point now. Maybe the Nordschleife isn't really about perfection. Maybe it's about what happens after the mistakes. What happens after the crashes. What happens after the confidence disappears. And whether you still come back out for another lap anyway. Maybe the Nordschleife never stops leaving scars. You just learn how to drive with them. One car, one truck, still showing up.